You won't believe what Navy SEALs go through before they ever see a battlefield. In fact, a staggering 75% of candidates fail before training even really begins, washing out during the infamous Hell Week, where candidates endure just 4 hours of sleep across 5 days of constant physical activity. Why? Because it's not just their bodies being tested, it's their minds being systematically dismantled and rebuilt, piece by piece, through calculated psychological pressure. And here's the real shocker. The most critical battle a SEAL faces isn't fought with bullets or bombs. It's fought in complete silence, deep inside their own head, where no one else can see the struggle. In 1999, researchers from the Naval Health Research Center discovered that successful SEAL candidates produced 50% less cortisol during stress situations than those who dropped out, showing that mental resilience is literally measurable in their biochemistry. So what exactly is the unbreakable mental process that transforms ordinary men into elite warriors capable of operating in environments that would break most humans? And more importantly, could you survive the punishing psychological gauntlet that eliminates 3 out of every 4 candidates? The answer might surprise you when we reveal what instructors look for beyond mere physical strength. By the end of this video, you'll uncover the bizarre breathing technique Navy SEALs use to stop panic in its tracks, a method surprisingly borrowed from ancient Buddhist monks, not military tradition. You'll witness the mind-hacking ritual they're forced to perform before getting wet and sandy at 4 a.m., a psychological conditioning process that rewires their neural pathways to endure excruciating pain without flinching. In 2018, Dr. Martin Paulus at the University of California found that elite operators showed a 62% reduction in amygdala activation during extreme stress compared to civilians, revealing a counterintuitive truth about fear management in combat situations. While most people assume SEALs simply push through pain, you'll learn how they actually transform their relationship with discomfort entirely. Perhaps most surprising, you'll discover how one simple 4-letter word, repeated strategically under crushing pressure, creates a neurological circuit breaker that can mean the difference between quitting and earning the coveted trident. Navy SEAL instructors report that candidates who employ this specific verbal technique are 3.4 times more likely to complete Hell Week. But I must warn you, none of this psychological armor works the way conventional wisdom suggests, and the truth might fundamentally change how you approach challenges in your own life. Most people think SEAL training is all about physical punishment, endless push-ups in freezing surf and carrying boats overhead until your shoulders give out. That's not entirely wrong, but it's merely the visible surface of a far more sophisticated psychological operation. What few civilians understand is that instructors have designed each evolution as a mental stress test first, physical challenge second. In a groundbreaking 2015 study from the Naval Special Warfare Command, researchers found that candidates who maintained cognitive function under extreme fatigue were 340% more likely to succeed than those with superior physical abilities alone. The surface-level brutality conceals a deliberate strategy to push candidates into a state of mental chaos where panic, doubt, and confusion overwhelm logical thinking. Instructors meticulously engineer uncertainty, abruptly changing schedules without warning, issuing deliberately contradictory commands, then severely punishing even momentary hesitation. A former BUD/S instructor revealed that they specifically track each candidate's braking pattern through 41 distinct behavioral indicators. "We're not trying to break your body," explains retired SEAL Commander Mark Devine. "We're triggering your deepest fight-or-flight responses to see whether you disintegrate when all sense of control vanishes." The shocking reality? Nearly 68% of candidates who quit do so during moments when no additional physical demands were being placed on them. It's not about enduring pain, it's about maintaining clarity when your mind starts fracturing under pressure. But here's what will really surprise you. The instructors aren't looking for candidates who never break down, they're identifying those who possess something far more valuable. And the secret selection criteria they're actually measuring reveals a psychological quality almost no one outside the community truly comprehends. What they're really searching for is a trait psychologists call metacognition, the ability to observe your own thoughts without becoming owned by them. Instructors intentionally blur the line between reality and perception because they want to see who can remain self-aware while their identity is under psychological siege. A shocking 2017 study from the Naval Special Warfare Psychology Unit revealed that this single cognitive ability predicted SEAL training success with 89% accuracy, far outweighing physical metrics. Can you recognize the difference between the story your terrified brain is spinning and the reality of what's actually happening? That's the test. SEAL hopefuls are routinely subjected to impossible tasks with conflicting instructions, not because instructors expect compliance, but because they're rare chances to observe how a mind reacts when all normal strategies fail. Consider this. During one documented training evolution, instructors deliberately issued 7 contradictory commands in 3 minutes, creating complete cognitive chaos. Some candidates lash out, some freeze, but a rare few begin narrating their internal state to themselves in real time. This is stress, not failure. This is pain, not injury. This is fear, not fact. That subtle cognitive separation is what tells instructors, this one can adapt under fire. This one might not just survive chaos, but think creatively inside it. Former SEAL Team 6 operator Robert O'Neill revealed, "We had a saying, the only easy day was yesterday. But the secret meaning wasn't about physical hardship, it was about mental clarity. But the ability to do that, to talk back to your biology, doesn't appear by accident. It's installed through intense, deliberate mental conditioning, which includes a surprising psychological tool known to ancient warriors and modern neuroscientists alike." Neuroscience researcher Dr. Andrew Huberman at Stanford University discovered that elite military operators show unique activity in the prefrontal cortex during stress, activating regions associated with emotional regulation 3.7 times more effectively than average subjects. And wait until you hear about the counterintuitive technique these warriors use to achieve this mental state. You're about to discover what at Island. It's called box breathing, and it's so deceptively simple that even seasoned athletes scoff at it, dismissing it as basic when they first learn the technique. But SEAL instructors don't just swear by this ancient technique. They've documented its remarkable effects across thousands of candidates. The method involves inhaling deeply for precisely 4 seconds, holding that breath for 4 seconds, exhaling completely for 4 seconds, and holding again for 4 seconds before repeating. This isn't just mindfulness fluff or trendy wellness advice. When practiced correctly, this cyclic breathing pattern triggers a cascade of physiological responses that literally shifts the nervous system from sympathetic fight or flight into parasympathetic calm, something previously thought impossible to control voluntarily. In a groundbreaking 2019 study at the Naval Medical Center, San Diego, brain scans showed box breathing reduced amygdala activity by 37% and boosted prefrontal cortex control within just 4 minutes of practice. Consider what happens during one particularly brutal Hell Week exercise known as surf torture, where candidates are ordered to lie motionless in 50-degree ocean water for up to 5 hours. Medical monitoring revealed those who maintained disciplined box breathing patterns were 5 times more likely to stay conscious and mission capable, maintaining core body temperature an average of 1.7 degrees higher than those who breathed erratically. What's truly fascinating is that instructors aren't just watching who physically endures the freezing surf. They're meticulously tracking microsigns of nervous system regulation, including subtle relaxation in the jaw muscles, controlled slow blinking patterns, and deliberate muscle decompression even as hypothermia sets in. Former Master Chief John Foss put it bluntly to his candidates: "If you're breathing right, you might just survive to see tomorrow's evolution. If you're not mastering this right now, you're already gone. You just don't know it yet." But mastering breath control is just the foundation. Because what these elite warriors do next, when their mind wants to completely shut down from exhaustion and cold, is nothing short of psychological alchemy, a mental technique so powerful yet counterintuitive that it challenges everything conventional wisdom tells us about how willpower actually works. And the next mental tool in their arsenal will fundamentally transform how you approach difficulty in your own life. It's called segmenting, and it might be the most misunderstood mental strategy in elite performance psychology today. Rather than attempting to endure an entire brutal day of SEAL training, candidates are methodically taught to mentally break down seemingly impossible challenges into hyper-manageable chunks, often as small as 1 breath, 1 repetition, or just getting to the next flagpole. Former SEAL David Goggins claims this strategy helped him endure multiple hell weeks after failing twice, saying, "You don't survive 5 days, you survive 5 minutes at a time, sometimes just 1 breath at a time." This isn't motivational fluff or social media wisdom, it's rigorously backed by cognitive science. In a landmark 2020 study, researchers from the University of Chicago found that students using segmentation under extreme stress scored 27% higher on complex cognitive tasks and showed a remarkable 64% increase in persistence when facing seemingly impossible challenges. A shocking revelation from SEAL instructors reveals they actually design impossible scenarios specifically to force candidates into segmenting, as those who cling to conventional goal setting invariably break down. Instructors meticulously train candidates to anchor on micro-goals when chaos peaks, allowing them to bypass the overwhelming future and lock into the immediate present. What's truly fascinating is how repeated application of segmenting literally reprograms neural pathways, creating new cognitive habits that automatically seek control within the uncontrollable, transforming mental despair into tactical focus. Navy psychologists have documented this transformation, noting that candidates who initially entered training with external locus of control showed a 78% shift toward internal control perception by the 4th week. In the chilling final hours of Hell Week, when hallucinations set in and bodies begin to shut down, instructors report that nearly all candidates who succeed describe experiencing time dissolving into fragments. Just make it to the next wave? Or just get to that buoy? This microscopic focus does something neurologically remarkable. It suppresses the amygdala panic loop while simultaneously boosting dopamine release for hitting small targets, chemically rewarding progress in hellish conditions. Did you know that MRI studies of elite special operators showed they activate the nucleus accumbens reward center when segmenting under pressure at 3.2 times the rate of average subjects? Taken together with precise breath control and metacognitive self-talk, segmenting becomes the third pillar of an unbreakable mental triad, creating a psychological architecture that can withstand almost unimaginable pressure. But here's the uncomfortable truth few people want to confront. These tools aren't just for warriors or extreme athletes, they're survival mechanisms for anyone under significant pressure. Because in the end, whether you're lying under freezing surf with instructors screaming in your face or confronting a personal disaster that feels overwhelming, the question isn't whether you'll feel fear, doubt, or the urge to quit. The question is whether you've systematically trained your mind to fight back with precision when those inevitable moments arrive. So now that you've seen the real neurological code behind genuine mental toughness, are you ready to stop merely surviving pressure and start mastering it like a Navy SEAL? Because here's the final truth most people never hear. Everything you've just learned isn't secretly locked away by the military, and it's not reserved for some elite genetic superhumans. These techniques, breathing control, segmenting, metacognitive narration, they're all programmable into any willing mind, including yours. A shocking 2021 study from Harvard Medical School found that civilians who practiced these techniques for just 30 days showed a 41% increase in stress resilience and cognitive performance under pressure. Mental toughness isn't forged in some distant war zone. It begins in quiet, everyday moments when your stress response whispers quit, and you whisper back, not yet. That battle might unfold in a freezing ocean, or it might happen as you're facing a failing business, a crumbling relationship, a terrifying diagnosis. The neurological process remains identical regardless of the external circumstance. Former SEAL commander Jocko Willink explains, the difference between warriors and civilians isn't what they face, it's how systematically they've trained their response systems beforehand. The location changes, but the war is always the same, between the noise of panic and the signal of clarity. The SEALs have simply built a playbook for winning that war, refined through thousands of stress tests and countless combat operations. So the real question now isn't how Navy SEALs build unbreakable mental toughness. It's what you're going to do with the tools they've proven work. Will you start using box breathing the next time anxiety takes over? Will you segment your next overwhelming task until it's just one manageable step? Will you talk back to the chaos instead of letting it control your story? Because in the end, mental resilience isn't a mystery, it's a method. And it starts the moment you decide to train for war before life makes you fight one. So whether you're fighting literal battles or invisible ones, this isn't just about becoming a Navy SEAL, it's about unlocking the mental operating system that helps ordinary people do extraordinary things under pressure. You've now seen the science, the tools, and the elite-level strategies that separate those who shatter under stress from those who stay calm in chaos. A fascinating 2022 study from Northwestern University found that individuals who implemented these techniques showed a remarkable 63% increase in cognitive performance during crisis situations compared to control groups. But now, it's your mission to implement. These techniques are shockingly simple, but their power lies not in knowing them, but in doing them consistently. Navy psychologists have documented that the average person requires 67 days of deliberate practice before these methods become neurologically automated responses. Will you practice the box breathing when your heart races? Will you narrate your thoughts before they take over? Will you break down your hardest challenge into something conquerable, one breath, one step, one flagpole at a time? The choice is yours. But remember this crucial fact. Individuals who master these techniques report 47% less perceived stress in crisis situations, while demonstrating 52% better decision-making capacity. Because that choice, repeated daily, is what builds unshakable mental armor. The mind is either a weapon or a weakness. What you decide to build starting today might just determine who you become when everything is on the line.